want to give away at the beginning of this movie is that I think that more than just being a crime movie, this is a modern Western. And I don't see many modern Westerns anymore. I can't even really think of any Westerns that are set any time period, but like Industrial Revolution, cowboys and Indians. But this is a Western, like down to its core. If you were to set this movie 100 years in the past, it would straight up be a Clint Eastwood film, or like the Duke would be in this movie, and especially like that last line of "Maybe I can bring you peace, not if I bring you peace first." It's so good. I love this movie. I know it's not for everyone. I get why it's not for everyone. It is a very slow burn. It is a very, very slow burn. It ads. All right, I'll wait till the ads are done to do film class for people. I don't want to blast through the class portion of our film class while people are watching ads. Damn, that's considered a slow burn. I would say so. I think. All right, for ads people, I'm just gonna go. I think part of the problem is most crime films, they move at like a lightning clip, and this movie has like 3 scenes that are like very action packed, and the rest of the movie is like very tense and plotting. You're talking like this is a ghost story. It ain't a slow burn. I think for general audience it is. For general audience it is, my brother. I'm trying to empathize why people wouldn't like this movie. And I get it. It's, as I said, it's a character piece of a swath of the population that, unless you've ever been to Texas, feels like a caricature. But as I said, Texans themselves typically feel like caricatures. Texas almost is like a comic book of itself so often when you go down there. You can't believe how much Texans buy into their own tropes. But again, I think the interesting thing about Hell or High Water is it's not a story about robbing banks as much as it is a story about being in these like male interpersonal relationships. I think the relationship between the 2 police officers very closely mimics the relationship of the 2 brothers. And we are kind of left to explore the moments that these men have, and kind of like what it means to be a brother, or what it means to be in love with another guy, or how men express their love or their admiration for one another. It's incredible. One of the most relatable things in that entire movie to me is when the 2 brothers are saying goodbye to one another, and he knows his brother is going on a suicide mission, right? He understands what his brother is and what his brother is about to say or do, sorry. And instead of saying like, "I love you so fucking much, like I will remember you forever, I will take you to the end of my days," they say, "Hey, fuck you, man. Fuck you." That's the last thing they say to one another. And there's so much love in that "fuck you" that it's like it's hard to express. And I think that's why this film really does succeed at portraying male interpersonal relationships better than almost any film I've ever seen. The amount of bromance in this movie, like real bromance in this film, is like unreal. And it's just spackled into every bit of the film. And I think, you know, him trying to save his sons, make his sons no longer enter into this cycle of poorness, they kind of allude that it is the poverty and the abuse of their father that made his brother a criminal in the first place, right? It's poverty, it's abuse by the banks and abuse by their father that led his older brother to become a bank robber. So it's like he says, this poverty becomes like an illness. It becomes like a generational illness. And so all of what is happening is to break this cycle of violence and poverty. And that's one of my favorite parts in the entire movie is when he goes, "You're going to hear some things about me." And the son goes, "I won't believe any of it." And he goes, "No, believe all of it. We did that shit. We did some bad shit." Because he's trying to create a difference. And ultimately, you know, I don't know how many people here deal with this, but like this rings true for me because there are so many men in my family, particularly older men, that are so tied to their past traumas or, you know, their toxic masculinity. They have a really hard time sometimes expressing themselves or expressing their love, but you know that they're trying. You know that they're fucking trying. And, you know, I always say this about my uncle. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, but he cannot talk about his feelings at all unless we're talking about football, right? If we're talking about football, he will sneak in some things that are like very profound. You know what I mean? Where it's like, damn, those Jets are getting fucking annihilated again. It makes me so angry. Just like how my brother made me feel inadequate when I was 12. You're like, whoa, hey, what the fuck was, huh? We talk about Aaron Rodgers? No, that part that you mentioned about your brother? No, I was talking about the Jets. Hey, Quantraj, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate you. I'm right in the middle of a film class for a film you didn't watch. So if you don't stick around, I totally understand, but I appreciate the raid, and I always appreciate the Quantraj. Anyway, Hell or High Water, I think for some people, it just won't scratch an itch. It's too general. It's too generic. But I think sometimes there are generic films that are done exceptionally well and they just work. There are certain films that play a trope or play a genre and they do it so tight that it's awesome. And I think this movie is awesome. Obviously, it was very divisive. I didn't expect it to be so divisive because it is kind of a ubiquitously liked and well-reviewed film. It's shockingly well-reviewed. In fact, it's almost a perfectly reviewed film. This film is a very inexpensive product. It's only a $10 million film, I believe. You know, there are movies that are cheaper that accomplish more. I think Fargo was almost the exact same price if you factor for when it was made, maybe a little bit more expensive. And then there are movies that look like this that are way more expensive. No Country for Old Men is twice as expensive, if not more, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then there are movies like Heat, which are infinitely more expensive, right? There are some bank robbery films that are stupid expensive. And so Fargo was 7 million. What year was that? 7 mil. Fargo 1996 for inflation. Yeah, So if you adjust that for inflation to 2016, Fargo would have been a $10 million movie. So as I said, if you adjust for inflation, almost the exact same budget for those two. So yeah, I really like this movie. I hope you guys liked it. Do you guys have any questions or comments or issues or film class stuff, maybe unrelated film projects you want to ask about? There are a lot of Southern Gothic literary themes present within the movie, in addition to being a modern Western. True. Very true. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead is the best low budget crime movie in my opinion. Very good film. Very good film. I mean, they do have the advantage of having Philip Seymour Hoffman in that movie, and I think he is the best. Philip Seymour Hoffman is probably the best actor of our generation. So yeah. Why do you think Alberto was supposed to be very religious? I think the partners are supposed to be foils or like a mirror to the brothers. I think Jeff Bridges' character is supposed to be a mirror to the crazy brother, and I think Alberto is supposed to be a mirror to Chris Pine, who's like the very calm brother. And I think they're both supposed to have like familial relationships that mirror one another. So I think Alberto is just very much a mirror to Chris Pine. Also, he's, just a religious guy. In a way, both brothers died then. Exactly. Now you're getting it. Sicario versus this, what had the better screenplay, same writer? Such different screenplays. One is like a hard character piece, this one, and the other is like kind of like almost a CIA crime thriller. But both scripts are, I wouldn't want to pit them against each other. They're both incredible. I just texted my brother and recommended this film to him. I've never seen something wrap up our relationships more than I Love You, Go Fuck Yourself. Exactly. If you know, you know. I do like how they played the crazy brother sometimes. I feel like films way too much on the deterioration of the relationship, which doesn't speak to the reality of the brotherly relationship. Yeah, I think he's just crazy enough in this movie, right? Like there are moments where he's crazy as shit, but there are other moments where he's not like the Joker, right? He goes in the casino and can be a functioning member and gets laid and is kind of fun to be around and people like him. And so he's crazy and he's the crazy brother, but he's not like just irredeemably crazy. Mr. Pibb? Yeah, great line. Jesus Christ. Chat, is there a list somewhere of free movies on YouTube? Yes. Literally, YouTube owns this channel. I want to show you guys something. I know people, like 30 people ask me every time I do a film night how I am doing this. Let me literally show you how easy this is. YouTube owns a channel. This is a owned and operated YouTube channel. This is not an independent channel. YouTube free movies right here. Bam. This is YouTube's page. They buy and publish these films, and you can see what the free ones are by just going to free movies. So here you go. Here are free movies right here. These are all licensed. Now, some of them you'll have to rent, but the ones that say free with ads, boom, for free for you right now. Licensed by YouTube. Officially. The fact that they didn't look at each other when they said, I love you, but they were looking directly at each other's eyes when they said, fuck you, is very telling. Yeah, that's brotherly love, baby. The ending scene might come off as bromance because they see the brothers that they lost in each other, and that is why they're left amicably. I think so too. I think so too. I don't think they'll actually kill one another, but I think, this movie is very much about toxic masculine cycles. What makes this movie generic and what makes a generic movie? I don't think this movie is generic. I think that because there is no big twist or turn in this movie, which I think there is. I think the big twist or turn is that they are stealing from banks to give the money back to the banks. I think that is the twist. But I think some filmgoers, particularly modern filmgoers, we've become so predisposed to that in the third act, there needs to be a major twist that completely upends the story as we know it. And, oh, I thought it was this, but it was really this. But because this movie, from the very first scene, is a down the pipe crime movie, right? There's no like, by the way, I know you thought I was stealing, but I'm actually a schizophrenic and this is all in my head. And Jeff Bridges is actually a figment of my imagination. Wait, no, he's my therapist. There's none of that bullshit. It's just a crime movie. It's a Western. It's down the pipe. Here are the characters right from scene one. Here are the good guys. Here are the bad guys. Wait a minute. I feel for all of them. Let's see how this plays out. I think that's for some people, particularly ADHD viewers, films like this that have like pauses for dialogue and kind of slowly reveal themselves and have an ambiguous ending can be very frustrating and bruxome when you've been gorging on the absolute slop tank that is Fast X. You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, it's been 20 minutes and they haven't stolen a car. What's going on? Kind of off topic, but would you ever be down to do a Bollywood film night? We've done Bollywood, actually. I think we've done 3 Bollywood films. I like Bollywood. I really liked RRR. I know it's not Bollywood. Forgive me. But I like where their cinema is going, and I like that it has such a specific identity. Which ones? We watched the Terminator one. We watched Slumdog Millionaire, which is not technically Bollywood. And then what was the other one we watched? I think we watched both of the Terminator ones. I think we watched one other. I gotta think. The one with phones, I can't remember the name. Yeah. I absolutely agree that Fish PSH is elite level actor, but would love to hear some elaboration on your top actors to kind of create context on what general idea of leading actresses you relate to. Would you give Philip Seymour Hoffman an edge over Daniel Day-Lewis, Hopkins, etc.? Yeah. I don't know. To me, Philip Seymour Hoffman. All right, let me be honest. I'm going to say something people really don't like. Daniel Day-Lewis is incredible. I think he's one of the best actors in the world. I think he's one of the best actors ever. Full stop. I'm going to say that. I just don't think he has the range that Philip Seymour Hoffman does. I'm sorry. Philip Seymour Hoffman was like a fucking chameleon. He was so many different. When you like in a back watch Along Came Polly, Capote, and The Master, he is like, you wouldn't even know that that's the same human being. You would not even know that that is the same human being. And the other thing that I give Philip Seymour Hoffman credit for is he has comedy chops that are way better than any other prestige actor. I'm going to be honest. All the prestige actors that you would put in this list probably wouldn't make me laugh that much. But Philip Seymour Hoffman is like, he was like one of the great comedic talents of our generation, not to mention he could go play a Capote or, Almost Famous or any of these prestige films. This is just my opinion though. This is just my opinion. Also, I think when someone dies really early, it is hard not to romanticize them. I will say that, period. Um, but I mean, other actors I really like. F dis. Also true, but Paul Wall. Do you interpret the ending of Hell or High Water the same as No Country for Old Men regarding Jeff Bridges and Tom Lee? No. Dark Gate, the endings are completely different. The ending of No Country for Old Men is like Tommy Lee Jones being swallowed up by the darkness of reality and the evils that men are capable of. And the end of Hell or High Water is a guy basically saying, like, we're going to maybe duel. We're maybe going to duel. Thoughts on Wind River? Gary Oldman's my favorite. I love Gary Oldman. You're going to get no resistance from me. He's one of my favorite people in the world. My favorite actor is Toshiro Mifune. I mean, that's a good one to have as a favorite, to be honest. You guys want to hear something funny? I am friends with one of Gary Oldman's kids, and he called me on the house phone one day, and I almost threw up. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, okay." I saw the number come up in my phone, and I was like, "Oh." Motherfucker thought it was white boy day. Hey, is it white boy day? Okay, I that is hard for me to say because I don't think it it's a hard one to defend because I think now it is a little insensitive. But Drexel Spivey, I think, might be the greatest character in film history. Drexel Spivey is my favorite character. It is so good. It is so good. Man, we got everything from a diddle dope to damned if I know. Now you sit down, you start eating my egg roll. I starts to think, this one bad motherfucker. He ain't got a care in the world. And who knows? Maybe he don't. But you ain't even sat down yet. And behind you on the TV is a woman with her breasts out. Now I know I'm pretty, but I ain't as pretty as a pair of titties. See, we about to negotiate, and you already giving up your shit. That monologue is it, bro. That monologue is it. Motherfucking Charlie Bronson. What the fuck? If you've never seen True Romance, I maintain it might be. This is a crazy take. This is maybe my hottest take ever. I think True Romance might be the best Quentin Tarantino movie. And it's not directed by Quentin Tarantino. It is a Quentin Tarantino script directed by Tony Scott, and it's so fucking good. Thank you so much, Soul Boot. Hot take? I prefaced it by saying that. It's not Tarantino's best. I think it is. I think it is. I think it is. I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect movie. Also, guys, can we talk about the cast? Can we talk about the cast? Can we talk about the cast? Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Gary Oldman, Dennis Hopper, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, Val Kilmer, James Gandolfini, Samuel L. Jackson, Christopher Penn, Sam Rupnik. Dude, the cast is in fucking sane. Dude, the scene with Patricia Arquette and James Gandolfini is like insane. Insane. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I think Tarantino's best movie, put a full pin in it, is Pulp Fiction. Then I think it's followed by Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, and Reservoir Dogs. But I would be willing to put True Romance in that second tier. Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs, and Kill Bill. I think True Romance fits in that tier. I really do. Four Rooms? Come on, man. Four Rooms has one really great scene, and it's the Tarantino scene, but the rest of the movie is kind of okay. If you had to pick only one movie about the impact of violence on a person, what would you say? The impact of violence on a person. The impact of violence on like the negative impact of violence on a person. I mean, this is a deep pull. This is a fucking deep pull, and I doubt many of you have even seen this movie. Sleepers would be a really good example of that, though. Sleepers is a fucking tough movie. City of God is another good answer. City of God is another good answer. If you don't know what Sleepers is a movie about a group of kids that grew up in an orphanage, and their priest basically rapes them all, and one of them goes back and shoots him in the face, and then the rest of them do their best to get him acquitted for the crime he committed. It's tough. Does not sound fun. The question was, what movie would you recommend that best shows the negative impact of violence on a human being's life? what? Oh, I'm sorry. The Mask with Jim Carrey came out in the year 2000. It's a very violent film. What the hell? I'm answering a question. You should watch Gangs of Wasseypur. I've been recommended that film many times, and I just have to watch it. I hear it's great. I think they meant in like a good way, like brutal. I mean, I don't know. Fucking City of God is a much more fun, better film way of showing the effect of violence on young kids. It wasn't the priest, it was the prison guard. Okay, I'm sorry. I haven't watched that movie in forever. I just remember it was traumatizing. Did you watch Godzilla -1? Not yet. I've been watching Blood of Zeus and it was fire. Funniest non-comedy movie? Probably Sideways. Sideways isn't really a comedy, but it is fucking hilarious. This movie is fucking hilarious. I think Sideways might have the single funniest scene in a movie ever. In the one where he fucking drinks the spittoon. It's so fucking good. When he drinks the spittoon, and when he's at the guy's house and he's getting his wallet back and the guy chases him out naked and presses his little fucking micro penis against the glass of the car. That shit is hilarious. Show it? No, I can't. I mentioned a ghost story before. Would you be willing to do a film night on it? Absolutely fucking not. No. There'd be 1,000 people watching at the end of a ghost story. Ghost Story is a good movie for sure. But it is about as slow as a movie can get. And when the final credits rolled, most people would be pissed that they watched it. I liked it though. Let me just say I liked it, but it's always a careful balancing act of showing movies that people can learn from with movies that people can watch. You have to remember, I showed Paprika, a Satoshi Kon film, and 3,000 people left because there were subtitles. Like, I don't think you understand like the impact of that kind of stuff. I understand people are going to leave no matter what. I'm not just going to show fucking like box office smashes every time I watch difficult films a lot. But like watching a ghost story would be like, I bet 1 out of 10 people enjoy that film. Have you watched Rain Man? For sure. The Witch is a watchable slow movie. Absolutely. I think we've watched The Witch. It's really good. Like Saltburn? No, not like Saltburn. If you think Saltburn was unwatchable, Ghost Story I would probably have mass suicides in here. Blah, blah, blue. Thank you. I think that was the best Chris Pine movie. It was pretty good. It might be. Have you ever watched Spun? Oh yeah, a little old school meth film. Thoughts on the spellbinding sequel to Kangaroo Jack? No. For Creep 3? I don't know. That's a dude. Whoever asked that question is a real fucking film head. Asking about the Duplass brothers movie, fucking Creep 3. I don't know, man. I think I'll be honest. I think Creep kind of reminds me of Clerks in that, like, if I'm being honest, the magic of the first Creep was that it was so janky and lean and tight and poor. And I think the second Creep was still good, but it felt like a departure from the first. And I'll be honest, I feel like all subsequent Creeps will have a hard time finding the magic of the first one that was just so fucking poor. But because we're fans and we're fans of kitschy shit and we're film people and we want to enjoy what we enjoy, we'll demand the sequels and we'll watch them and we'll kind of be like, damn, I missed the first Clerks. Good question, though. I love a good Duplass Brothers question. That's deep cut. I didn't like the first Creep. Oh, come on. Well, then don't watch any of them. Have you seen Place Beyond the Pines? Yes. Place Beyond the Pines is really tough. It's very good. It's very good. I think the problem with Place Beyond the Pines is the first half of the movie is infinitely more entertaining than the second half. And ultimately, I think that has to do with the fact that Ryan Gosling is just so fucking like entrancing in that movie that the second act just kind of feels a little flat, at least for me. Have you watched Tremors on stream yet? Such a fun film. No, I haven't. I love me some Tremors though. Did you film Night Old Boy? Of course. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I still think Old Boy has the most impressive action scene of all time, and it's in like a psychological drama thriller. The hammer scene, hammer hallway, to me is like is peak. And I've shown it so many times, but have you ever watched Enter the Void on stream? I haven't. I've talked about Enter the Void a lot. Enter the Void would be a hard one to watch on stream because basically the entire movie from top to bottom is TOS. I've talked about Enter the Void as one of Gaspar Noé's works. And I think Enter the Void was the film that I took note of Gaspar Noé. Like the visual composition of it was so intriguing that I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And I think Enter the Void is that film for a lot of people. It's so visually appealing. It's so different that it pulls a lot of people in. Ultimately, though, as like a narrative, as a film, I don't think it's perfect yet. And then I think Climax was like the film where all of his talent galvanized and became like this perfect film. And so I showed Climax. We've never watched Enter the Void, though. And unless I edited out like 90% of the movie, we wouldn't be able to watch it, right? The first scene of the movie is a guy having a violent heroin overdose, and the rest isn't much better. So it'd be a hard one to watch on stream for a number of reasons, but it's definitely worth checking out if you are a Gaspar Noé head. Irreversible is Gaspar's best film. I mean, you can make a case for that. I'd listen to a case for that, but I do think that Climax is like almost a perfect movie. Climax was a disaster. Watching Climax was a disaster because Hassan Piker rated with 23,000 people who came into the height of one of the most abrasive and traumatic horror movies ever devised by human hands. Did y'all watch Memento? Of course. Thoughts on Amoris Pero? Loves a bitch. Amore Pero. I watched that movie when I was too young. I watched Amoris Pero when I was way, way, way too young. And it's tough. It is a brutal film. It's not a film you watch and expect or will have any good feelings. It's just a fucking slog. And as I get older, I can watch those films better. When I was 15 or 16 watching those movies, I don't think I was emotionally equipped to deal with how fucking dark they were. But it is a great example of Spanish filmmaking. It's one of my favorite Spanish films. And it's a great movie. It's just not one you should watch on a date or with your pet. Seems like Americans can't watch Harsh nowadays. What happened to you guys there? No, brother. We just can't show tits on stream. I don't want to get banned. But like, if you're asking about Amor Apero and Climax, no, that's not like a we're soft type thing. Those movies are fucking brutal. That's like, there are American movies like that. Like, I could ask you to watch The House That Jack Built, and you would be like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? There are still American movies that do that too. It's just. Have you seen I Saw the Devil? Love I Saw the Devil. Love I Saw the Devil. Almost like a cop cop horror serial killer Korean. A movie fucking rules. The other one that I would recommend if you like I Saw the Devil is Cure. Cure is so fucking good. Cure's fucked up, dude. That movie's fucked up, bro. Love that shit. Memories of a Murder. Memories of a Murder is a film that became so highly recommended to me. And I loved it, but I think I almost expected something different. I will say this. Memories of a Murder is a film that stayed with me for a long time after I watched it. Memories of a Murder is a film that stayed with me a long time after I watched it. Do you like the film The Audition? Of course. Mickey 17. I don't even know what Mickey 17 is. What the fuck is Mickey 17? Oh, it's Bong Joon-ho's new film. Okay. $150 million budget. Goo! I didn't even know he was making this. I'll be honest. I can't catch everything. God damn, that's a huge fucking budget. Manchester by the Sea. Dude, I actually have such a unique relationship with Manchester by the Sea. I've told people this. One of my best friends from college killed himself, and he was from Situate, Massachusetts, which is right next to Manchester, Massachusetts. And I watched that movie on the plane, going to his funeral, not knowing what it was about, just knowing that it was set in Boston. And I was like, well, I'm going to Boston. You know, maybe this will put me in a fucking mood. And I was on this plane sobbing like a fucking child. And I have not been able to watch it since, but it lives with me. Thoughts on Hereditary? I think it's probably the best modern horror movie. Kind of by a wide margin. After Sun did that to me, God, After Sun was tough. Have you ever shown Sergio Leone films? I think we watched one. I can't remember. We've watched so many movies at this. We've watched over 200 movies now. I can't even remember. Will Ari Aster ever make another movie as good as Hereditary? No. My intuition says no. But I pray he does. I pray. Thoughts on Timothée Chalamet? I mean, he's great. He was great in Dune. He's a good actor. He gets way more hate than he deserves, I think. So I think it's Witch by a wide margin. I don't know if Witch is like a horror movie. I think Eggers, for me, that's more of like a character period piece with like horror elements. Now, listen, I love Robert Eggers and I love The Witch. I love The Witch so so much. I think that is a great film, and I've watched it so many times. But like, when I watch Hereditary, I am watching Rosemary's Baby. I'm watching The Omen. I'm watching The Exorcist. I'm watching The Shining. It is a horror movie through and through, and it's such an insane fucking homage to the films that made me love horror. It is an Ouroboros of horror. It's a snake eating its own tail. It is the beginning, the middle, and the end of horror as we know it, and it heightens every single part of that genre that I love. It's so fucked up. It's so deranged. It's so terrifying. And the resolution is just bitter and terrible and terrifying. It's so good. It's so fucking good. How would you rank Robert Eggers' 3 movies? Number 1 is The Witch by a wide margin. Now I'm going to do something that you guys won't like. I think The Lighthouse is probably number 2, but I enjoyed The Northman more. I fucking loved The Northman, but I have to admit The Lighthouse is probably more of an impactful, better made film. I think The Northman struggled. Robert Eggers struggled with making his first studio film and making a large budget film that is elevated. But The Northman fucking owns. But you can almost see his struggles as a filmmaker going from a contained story with like 4 actors in the film in both The Witch and The Lighthouse, as opposed to a Northman, which is like a major studio film with hundreds of extras and actors. And have you watched the 1985 Mask, and would you have it on film night? Mask. So that's Cher, right? Yeah, that's a movie with Cher. And Eric Stoltz. Yeah. Mask is it's a tough movie. It's a very well done film, and it definitely rips your heartstrings to shreds. I don't know. The other film that comes to mind when I think of that is Powder. Have you guys ever seen Powder? Powder is the other movie that's like that, where it's like just a very bizarre like person who's tortured. The Lightning Boy, yeah. Did you enjoy Oculus? Yeah, it was pretty good. Thoughts on First Omen? I just started watching it. I'm very excited to watch the rest of it after I get off stream. Do you see Challengers? Yeah, love the soundtrack. One of my favorite bad movies of all time. I think it's a bad movie. Like I think it's like a bad movie, but it's so fun and it's so good to watch, and I enjoyed it so much that I don't care that it's a bad movie. Do you have a top anime list? I don't know. I watched pretty much all anime now. I would say watch Challengers. You'll love Challengers. It is fun. It's very good in terms of like how much enjoyment you will get from it. But if I had to review it as a film critic, it's like very campy. It's like there's a lot with it that's very wrong, but I don't care because it's so much fun. Do you guys understand? It's camp. It's super camp. Top anime, Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. True. Watch it for the soundtrack. True. What's a movie it's similar to? God, I can't even think of anything that's similar to Challengers. It's so different. How would I explain Challengers? Challengers is like if Kubrick decided to direct a sports movie while doing Molly the entire time. And instead of running the camera himself, he was like, yo, Michael Bay, will you DP this? That's what it felt like to me. If Kubrick was high on drugs the entire time and just discovering that he might be homosexual, and then he was like, yo, Bay, can you run camera on this? And like, if you were to watch it, you kind of know that he was way too high the entire time. You know what I mean? Like when there are projects where like they'll tell you, they'll be like, hey, did you know that Stephen King was on cocaine the entire time he wrote Cujo? And you're like, I kind of get that. I'm kind of picking that up. Yeah, now that you say that. Challengers is kind of like that. Like if you told me that the director was high on ecstasy the entire time, I'd be like, yeah, I'm picking that up. Yeah. I get, yeah. He doesn't remember writing it. That's true. He actually changed the breed of dog mid book because he was so fucked up. I hope you don't take this as though that you shouldn't watch Challengers or that Challengers isn't good for you to watch. It's just from a technical film standpoint, I wouldn't be like, oh, what a triumph. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Where would you put Mouth of Madness? If you're a fucking HP Lovecraft fan, Mouth of Madness is great. That movie rules. I love In the Mouth of Madness, but I'm an HP Lovecraft fan. If you're not, that movie's terrible. Don't watch that movie. But if you're an HP Lovecraft fan, great movie. Awesome. Best trilogy of all time? Soon to be Dune. No, it's Indiana Jones. The Matrix? I mean, if you think The Matrix is the best trilogy of all time, you're basically saying that the first Matrix is so good that it doesn't matter that the next two movies suck. You're basically saying that Matrix 1 is as good as 3 movies are, which, you know, not a terrible take. Best trilogy is Toy Story? I disagree. What is your favorite shitty, terrible movie that you love watching? Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think Rocky Horror Picture Show is the best camp film of all time. Most pretentious movie that you like? Yeah. I have to give it to this one. I have to give it to this one because the entire movie is fucking so pretentious. It's Birdman. The entire concept of Birdman is fucking pretentious, right? It's like, hey, let's do an entire movie, like a character piece with a one take. Why? Why are you doing that? What? Why? Because it's difficult. All right, fine. I'm in. Favorite sci-fi movie of all time? That's easy, dude. The Thing. That's my shit right there. The Thing goes crazy. The Thing also has like my favorite final scene in a movie ever. God, it's so good. You give off Kurt Russell vibes, dude. You trying to make me come? Sorry, that was too much. I shouldn't have said that. Inglorious Bastards, what's your take on it? We actually watched it here in film class. I don't think Tarantino's ever made a bad movie. I'll be honest. I don't think Tarantino's ever made a bad film. Let me start with that. But I do grade on a curve. And I think his great films are so great that I look at Inglorious Bastards with a pretty critical eye. And I think it's a very fun movie. And there's about 4 scenes in it that are close to perfect. The scene in the annex in the bottom of the bar might be one of his best scenes ever, if not one of the best scenes in film history. It's so perfect. It's so amazing. It's so tense. It goes on and on and on. It's well done. So I think those moments kind of carry the film. The Jew hunter scene in the beginning, it's so good. And then I think the third act kind of like falls off. But, you know, when you're doing historical fiction about the Holocaust and you're Quentin Tarantino, how can it not fall off a little bit? So. Captain Ron movie night. Oh, you're gonna make me calm. Chungking Express. We've watched Chungking. I fucking love Chungking Express. I fucking love Fallen Angels. I am the biggest Wong Kar-wai fan on the planet. Wong Kar-wai is kind of personally my favorite filmmaker. Fallen Angels, Chungking Express, and then this absolute fucking piece of magical, unrequited love, perfection, in the mood for love is this movie is perfect. This movie makes me want to drink an old fashioned and just give myself a dry hand job in some exotic location. It is so fucking good. It's so good. I just want to wear a suit and drink whiskey that tastes like fire when I watch this movie. Handmaiden? Oh, come on. Yeah, we've watched that in this class. We watched Handmaiden for Pride Month. Oh, shit. It's Pride Month. We got to watch a gay movie. Gotta watch a gay movie. Gotta watch a gay movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Tarantino's worst film just for the Bruce Lee scene alone. Dude, Gio, I want to say something to you right now. That's the most based thing that a chatter has ever said in my stream ever. And I'm proud of you. Um, Dude, I have never had a streamer say have a hotter take that was so insanely based. God, that's an insanely based take. I actually gave a long spiel about why that scene exists, and I'm going to give you a take on this. Bruce Lee was adamant that a lot of kung fu movies made at the time were trash, right? He was adamant about this. And that's why he makes Enter the Dragon. He basically says that kung fu is like almost like the blaxploitation of Asian filmmakers and Asian actors, right? Which would make sense because he was in The Sting as Kanto, which is about as yellow exploitation as you can get, right? Okay, let's move forward. Now, I like kung fu movies, but you know who loves kung fu movies? Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino fucking loves kung fu movies. He adores kung fu movies. In fact, he likes kung fu movies so much, he made his own kung fu movie that was based on the very same kung fu movies that Bruce Lee used to rip apart when he was alive. So, what does Tarantino do? He puts Bruce Lee in a movie, and in only a way that Tarantino can do, he makes Bruce Lee look like a petty piece of shit and then beats the fuck out of him just because he doesn't agree with Bruce Lee's taste in film. I truly think that is the case. I think that is why that happened. And I think that is why he depicted Bruce Lee the way he did. And that's based, I think that is the dumbest thing he could have done. Take maybe one of the most beloved men in Hollywood, in martial arts, in film ever, and make him look like a petty piece of shit because he didn't agree with his film takes. Honestly, I love Tarantino. That rubbed me very wrong. No, you're so wrong. Sorry. No, I think I'm so right. Why do you think Tarantino made him look like an absolute bitch ass? Why do you think Tarantino, I think you're so wrong. Okay, why do you think Tarantino picked a random historical figure who he never was interacted with, who by and large, every account of in Hollywood is that he was the nicest man that you will ever engage with and made everyone feel special and depicted him as the worst person on a film set? Why would he do that? That would be like, I'm going to give you an example. That would be like if someone made a film and put Paul Newman in it, right? Had an actor play Paul Newman, and instead of Paul Newman being like, hey, I'm going to devote my life to helping kids by making a dressing brand where all the proceeds go to helping children, he had a scene with Paul Newman just beating the shit out of a child and being like, you know who I hate? Kids. Fuck kids. Like, it makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. And I'm going to go even further. I'm going to say something else. If he had done that to a beloved white or black person, I think people would have gone harder on him. I'm going to say it. If he had done that to Paul Newman, Fox News would be up in arms. And if he had done that to a black actor, the libs would be up in arms. But Asians are a weird, interplace right now where people didn't get up in arms about it because they're the model minority. I'm going to say it. If he had done that to Paul Newman, Fox News would have been like, Quentin Tarantino disgraces one of the most beloved actors of all time. Why would he do this? I don't understand. I do not know why more people were not pissed about him depicting Bruce Lee as a total piece of shit. It was so straight. Like, it wasn't even like a fun, like funny depiction of him. It was, Tarantino explained on Joe Rogan podcast, it's only his family are entitled to have a criticism and fuck everyone else. That doesn't explain anything. That's him just saying, I won't listen to criticism, which he frequently does. Quentin Tarantino explained on the Joe Rogan podcast that he fuck criticism and fuck what you think. Tarantino then tried to say it was how Bruce Lee was in real life, but multiple people that knew him, including his family members, discredited that. Oh, yeah. Dude, any account of Bruce Lee is that he was the most, like, charitable, friendly human being you could ever bump into, which is why it's such a strange. If there were any accounts of Bruce Lee being a piece of shit, it would make so much more sense. But the guy was literally like a saint. Now, I like Quentin Tarantino. I really do. I really do. But this is one of those times where I was like, what? Huh? What? I really think it, and I'm saying this again. I know some of you missed this because of the ad. I'll say this one more time. Bruce Lee was one of the first guys to say that kung fu movies were an exploitive type of film to Asian filmmakers and Asian actors. Now, he was much closer to the situation because he was like Kanto in what was it? What was the show? The Green Mask, Green Hornet. And I think that made him upset, which is why he wanted to make Enter the Dragon, right? The focus of Enter the Dragon was to really show the Tao of martial arts and like the introspection and the philosophy around martial arts. And I think that that criticism is so against Tarantino's taste in film. I love old kung fu. I love Masters of Flying Guillotine. I love the one-legged boxer. I love Wu-Tang. I love Snake and Eagle Shadow. I love Drunken Master. I love all of those movies that Tarantino loves that directly inspired Kill Bill. Kill Bill, what is an homage to those movies because Tarantino loves those movies so much. So I think Tarantino was like burying a grudge with Bruce Lee because he's like, this fucking idiot hates some of my favorite movies. I honestly think that is why he was like, I am going to go out of my way in a 10-minute scene to make him look like a fucking idiot. It's weird too because the stuntman is based on real-life stuntman Judo Green Labelle, who became lifelong friends with Bruce, taught Bruce the grappling that would later be incorporated into Jeet Kune Do and end up learning striking from Bruce. Yeah, I don't know. What is better, Big Trouble from Little China or Escape from New York? Escape from New York. Come on. It's all movies, bud. Yeah, I mean, you're in a movie class. So like, that's like going into a literature class. And when I'm ranting about Shakespeare being like, it's all books, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna rant about movies in a movie class. Anyway, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed movie class tonight. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. If this is your first time, we do this every single Wednesday. We watch a movie and then I do my best to give my opinions, talk about film, inform you about film. And I welcome the disagreement. I really do, guys. If you think that I'm disagreeing with you because I'm upset, or because that I want you gone, or when people are calling for me to ban people who disagree with me, it's not my modus operandi at all. I like getting all the different takes because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a nerd and I like other nerds who are passionate, and that makes me happy because it is the collision or agreement of those passions that make life interesting. So, thank you for joining me on this film night. I'll be back here next week with another film night. I think I'll be streaming early tomorrow, playing some games with Seer. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to send you across the pond all the way to Japan to one of my favorite streamers, Premiere 2. Give him my love and affection. Letterbox? No, I don't have a letterbox. I talk about movies. Anyway, thank you so much for all that you do. Have a wonderful evening. You have changed my life in such a positive way. I hope I give a little bit of that back to you. You look like Premiere 2. We could be brothers, honestly. Anyway, thank you guys so much one more time. I'm sorry I was late. I was doing therapy. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay dangerous, everyone, and good night. Oh, shit. Audio's separate. Fuck. My bad, guys. I had music playing that whole time. Oh, well. Good night.